Hello aspirants, a very good morning to all of you and welcome to Sriram's IAS YouTube channel and welcome back to Anthropology World. So friends, in this Anthropology series, we are trying to discuss about various important concepts related to Anthropology optional subject. So as a part of that, in last video, we tried to have a basic orientation about Anthropology optional. And we try to understand about the very basics about anthropology, like say what is anthropology, what are the different branches of anthropology, and further aspects like say syllabus, chore, and strategy, books and resources. So all such aspects we try to have a visit. So in today's discussion, let us try to proceed ahead and let's try to know about the basics of one of the most important branch in anthropology, that is the socio-cultural anthropology. So friends, the socio-cultural anthropology is one of the important section in anthropology in such a way that 40% of the syllabus, mostly it is relevant to the socio-cultural section. So from that point of view, you must and shall have to have a very good knowledge about the socio-cultural anthropology. So in today's session, let's have the very basic introduction about the socio-cultural anthropology section. And there, let us try to know about the meaning, its scope, and the very basics about it. So let's try to move ahead and let's try to start our discussion. So the very basic thing is that socio-cultural anthropology is nothing but it's a branch of anthropology which basically deals with some of the socio-cultural aspects of the human beings. So this is a very, very important aspect that you have to remember. Now, this word, the socio-cultural anthropology, could be broadly, we can see that there are two important sub-branches under the socio-cultural anthropology. The first branch, we call it as the social anthropology, and the second sub-branch, we can call it as the cultural anthropology. So together they will make up the socio-cultural anthropology. So try to catch this basic information. Now further, if you see from the perspective of the socio-cultural anthropology, so the socio-cultural anthropology basically it deals with some important aspects, like it deals about the concept of society. It deals about the concept of society. And here also in the concept of society, so we can discuss that various aspects about the society would be systematically dealt. So let's make it like this. So it deals about, in very simple fashion, society. And actually the society is basically made up of various aspects such as various social groups and various social institutions. So it deals about that. Now what kind of social institutions does it deal? That is another important aspect. So first, let us try to see what are social institutions. So friends, try to remember that social institutions are basically, they are nothing but all those social units which tries to control and regulate the behavior of the humans in the society. That means a society has to be an organized entity. If it is not organized, then it becomes like chaos, or chaos will be spreaded. So in order to establish social order in society, we can see some of the important institutions. Those institutions which tries to regulate and control the human behavior in the society refers to social institutions. Now, what are those social institutions? So one social institution, such social institution is known as, say, marriage. And in the same way, so we will have other social institutions like, say, family. This is other social institution. And in the same way, so we have kinship. Then we will have things like, say, economic organization. Then we will have political organization. And in the same way, we will have other social institutions like say religion. So friends, so social anthropology deals with all those aspects. That is, deals with the social groups, social institutions such as these things. And now, what about the social groups? Social groups basically that includes things like say different groups, say caste groups, religious groups. So all of them would be coming under the social groups. Now, furthermore, if you look from the basic origins of this, so social anthropology in a way, or in a simple way to say, so it has been systematically developed by the efforts of a scholar known as L.H. Morgan. So remember his name, very important. So L.H. Morgan. So social anthropology as a sub-branch has been developed systematically by the efforts of L.H. Morgan. And now L.H. Morgan is basically regarded as father of social anthropology. This is one important basic aspect that you have to know. Now further, if you see from the perspective of this, L.H. Morgan has written one important text. The name of the text or the name of the work is known as Ancient Society. So in this particular work, that is Ancient Society, which he has written in 1877, so he systematically provided the very basic information about the society, and he introduced one important aspect that is known as the sociological approach to study anthropology. Sociological approach, we call it. So for such contributions and also for so many other contributions, we remember and we commemorate so L.H. Morgan as the father of social anthropology. And friends, remember this thing that L.H. Morgan belongs to American School of Anthropology, and that means he is an American anthropologist. Now, he tried to popularize the social anthropology in America and in the American region. Now, the same thing has been systematically spread to the Britain. So that means in the British school, the sociological approach has been introduced and spread by so many British anthropologists. So some of the important British anthropologists who spread this sociological approach in the Britain includes, say, Bronislaw Kasper Malinowski. So Bronislaw Kasper Malinowski is one important scholar. Then we had Radcliffe Brown. So he is another important scholar. And apart from him, so there are some other scholars, like say we have James Fraser, another important evolutionary scholar. So James Fraser. So all of these kind of scholars, pioneers, they tried to popularize this sociological approach in Britain. So this was one of the important aspects that you should remember and keep in mind. So I hope that is clear to you all. Now, so on one side, this is what. Next, on the other side, if you see, so this cultural approach, if you see, so culture basically it deals with respect to the concepts of culture. It deals with the concept of the culture, and it also deals with culture and its components. So components are another important aspect. Now when we see from the perspective of the culture, so in a very simple fashion to say society, basically in anthropologically to define, society is nothing but it's the union of social groups and social institutions and their interactions among themselves. And now society is composed of what? Society is basically composed of group of individuals, or it's a group of people who share common culture and who live in a defined territory, so that we can have we can say it as society. That means society is made up of people. And when there is a group of people, will they have a kind of way of living? The way of life or the way of living of the group of people who are living in a society basically refers to culture. So, in a simple fashion to say, so culture is nothing but the way of life, and here within this we will have various aspects, like say for example, culture means, as I say, the way of living of the people. So in this we will include, say, the food habits, or we say the dress or dressing pattern, or we talk about the arts, or we talk about the languages, or we talk about the beliefs, or we talk about the various aspects such as customs, traditions. So all those aspects will be systematically dealing in the cultural anthropology. So this is something that you have to keep in mind. So further, if you look from the cultural anthropology point of view, cultural anthropology as a sub-branch has been systematically developed by one of the important British anthropologist known as E.B. Tylor. So try to remember the name of scholar E.B. Tylor. So E.B. Tylor was a British anthropologist who systematically developed the cultural anthropology as a sub-branch in sociocultural anthropology. So where we can remember that, so for his immense contributions, we call E.B. Tylor as father of cultural anthropology. Remember this. So this is very, very important aspect you have to remember. And further, if you see, so E.B. Tylor, so he systematically written one of the important work or one of the important text. The name of the text that he has written is known as The Primitive Culture. So he has written a book that is known as The Primitive Culture in 1871. And this book contains the very comprehensive definition of something that is known as culture, and where E.B. Tylor tried to define culture in a very comprehensive way. Like say, he says, culture is that complex whole which includes the knowledge, the beliefs, arts, morals, laws, customs, and any other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. So this is what he calls it as the culture. So this definition has been systematically mentioned in this particular thing. So that's where, so for all such kind of important contributions, E.B. Tylor, one of the pioneer anthropologists, is regarded as father of cultural anthropology. That's one thing. And then further, so he introduced one approach that is famously known as historico-cultural and comparative approach. So this is one important approach that has been introduced by E.B. Tylor. So try to remember this, another important aspect. Then furthermore, so as I have said that E.B. Tylor is a British anthropologist. Now, whatever the things that he tried to develop, it got flourished in Britain. Now, what about in American region? In American region, this particular approach has been systematically highlighted and systematically introduced by some of the American anthropologists, such as we have some of the important American anthropologists like, say, Franz Boas. So Franz Boas is famously regarded as father of modern anthropology also. And then further we have some other scholars like, say, Ruth Benedict. and we have other scholars like say Margaret Mead. So all such kind of American anthropologists tried to popularize the approach introduced by E.B. Tylor in Britain, and thus in American School of Anthropology, the cultural anthropology got flourished. So this is another important information that you have to remember. And friends, further if we see from the perspective of the words social anthropology and the cultural anthropology and the socio-cultural anthropology, how did they get to popularity, or how did they enter? So for the first time, if you see from the perspective of the term the social anthropology, the term social anthropology has been introduced by, say, one of the important scholars is known as James Fraser. So here James Fraser in 1908 he introduced the term social anthropology, and the entire term the socio-cultural anthropology has been systematically for the first time introduced and coined by an American scholar who is known as A.L. Kroeber. He introduced this in 1946. So where the term socio-cultural anthropology became flourished from then and there onwards. So this is another important information that you must and shall have to remember with respect to the socio-cultural anthropology. Is that it clear for you? Now, try to just remember these basic aspects once again to say. So you have to see this, that socio-cultural anthropology is a branch of anthropology which deals with various social and cultural aspects of the human beings. The cultural aspects like this, the social aspects like say what is society, what is the nature of society, what are the various social institutions, so how did they evolve, and what about the various types, and what about various aspects about them. So we try to learn all such aspects here, and in cultural anthropology we try to learn about all these aspects here. So that's how socio-cultural anthropology is one of the important branch which tries to provide various insights about the socio-cultural aspects of the human beings. So that's one of the important thing that you should learn, and this is where let's try to stop today's video, and in the next video let's try to proceed ahead with some of the important aspects like say what is culture, what is society, and then let's try to move about the various social institutions and various other aspects, and let's try to have the continuity of the socio-cultural anthropology. So that's all for today from my side, friends. So stay tuned and keep watching Sriram's IAS YouTube channel, Delhi as well as Hyderabad. So we'll be meeting again in the next video with another important topics in anthropology. So till then, take care. Keep revising. Thank you all for watching the video.